Oh my God, that's awesome. This one is still in the shrink. So today on Scott Slasher World, I'm counting down 5 1980s slasher films that should have gotten a sequel or their own franchise. So the first 1980s slasher film I want to talk about this week is a flat-out classic, and I'm still surprised to this day that it didn't have its own franchise, let alone like a sequel, and it is The Burning.
What happened one summer 5 years ago is about to happen again. The Burning.
With some of the greatest horror movie effects of all time by Tom Savini, this came around about the same time as Friday the 13th Part 2. I'm pretty sure this was a 1981 release. I love the Blu-ray cover. The classic VHS cover looked like the discs. This had early appearances by Jason Alexander and Holly Hunter. Such a cool cast. It really felt like a camp movie. It took place at a summer camp where Cropsey is getting revenge on these kids who have wronged him. Well, it wasn't actually these kids, but he's still taking revenge on kids who have wronged him in the past at the camp. Man, I just don't understand how this never became a franchise. Technically, the killer does die at the end, but you could have brought him back in a number of ways, and it would have made such a cool franchise to go up against the likes of like Friday the 13th and Halloween. The next slasher film on the list is The Funhouse.
The Funhouse, coming soon from Universal Pictures. The Funhouse, it's a carnival of terror from Tobe Hooper, the director who terrified you with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This Tobe Hooper directed masterpiece would have made a really good franchise. You could have did a lot of cool kills in The Funhouse. It actually starts out with a big Halloween-style fake-out where you think it's going to be that type of slasher movie where the killer is going to around the houses and killing people, but it turns out to be something totally different. It's actually at the carnival in the Funhouse. Some shenanigans are happening, and there is a killer that is in the Funhouse who actually has like a little bit of like a family. So you could have, even though the main killer does die, you could have, you know, had extra family members show up in part 2 or 3, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Or maybe you could have brought the killer back in some kind of weird fashion, like Jason Voorhees. A really cool looking killer. The reveal at the end is really cool when the killer is unmasked. I don't know, I love everything about this movie. It's a really fun film and would have made an excellent franchise. Oh my God, that's awesome. This one is still in the shrink. It's Madman.
Madman. There is no escape.
Madman is such a cool slasher film. I particularly love the opening scene by the campfire. It has definitely inspired countless slasher films, but such a cool killer. This one really deserves a sequel because the killer is still alive, and to me the killer was always a ghost. It's kind of reminiscent of like the Hatchet killers. Like at first you don't really think it's a ghost, but I think as the movie goes along, I think he's more of a ghost that comes back once you say his name by the campfire. That's how I've always taken it. Man, this would have been a good franchise, and I'm really surprised that Madman didn't get a sequel. The next slasher film on the list is another Tom Savini gore fest. It's The Prowler.
Tonight, the terror begins again.
They never found out who did it. But it had to be someone in town, someone who knew that she was called Rose. And Mark, that guy still might be around here.
Oh, I don't believe this. You're talking about something that happened over 30 years ago.
Whenever the time was right, he'd come back. The Prowler.
This one right here is a excellent slasher film when it comes to the killings and the gore. Now to me, the story is kind of, I wouldn't say weak, I just think it's a little slower. To me, it's a little slower film, and I'm kind of waiting for the next kill. But I really feel that this would have made a great franchise because of the way the movie kind of lays itself out there. You could have had a different killer that's mad about events that's happened in the past, that it's maybe related to somebody that's been killed or the killer. And I think that would have been a really cool idea. And as long as like Savini, or like I said, some of Savini's crew was still along for the ride and doing the effects, I just think that this would have been another really cool event like Friday the 13th or The Burning, which should have got a sequel or franchise as well. This would have just been a really cool franchise that you're definitely going to the theater to see what the next big kill is. And the last 80s slasher flick on my list of movies that should have been a franchise or at least gotten a sequel is the 3D masterpiece Silent Madness.
Inside your head, the screaming never stops. Silent Madness.
Rated R.
I'm going to call it a masterpiece. I know a lot of people would not, but man, it is so awesome, so campy, so over the top. A lot of people don't know about this movie, and I feel like it's probably the lesser known movie on the list. I love that Vinegar Syndrome packed these really cool 3D glasses with the Silent Madness art on the sides. It's so cool. Looks good, man. Looks really good with these glasses. Would have made an awesome franchise. Can you imagine seeing Silent Madness 2 in 3D? Oh, it's been so great. Or just Silent Madness 3D, Part 3. Yeah, I love the killer in this, love the over-the-top kills, and I feel like this definitely could have been a sequel because even though the killer dies, the killer's mom is still alive, and it is kind of revealed at the end that the killer's mom sort of starts it all by killing co-eds. So you could have had her come back, or you could have brought the killer back, Jason Voorhees style, like I love to say, because you could have electrocuted him and he could have came back, or anything could have happened, and the killer could have been resurrected. But I don't know, go with the mom, or maybe the mom had another son that decides to get revenge just like his brother. Really cool film, underrated gem, and I just feel like a sequel or just a whole franchise would have really, I don't know, brought more attention to this movie. And if you haven't seen it, check this one out. That's all for my top 5 1980s slasher films that should have had either a sequel or been a whole movie franchise. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I do want to show off a couple of new items that I got. I got a couple things from Retro Reset that I really want to show off, and I think everyone's going to really enjoy. Let me know what your favorite slasher film was that I showed off this week. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. So the first item I want to show off is this awesome Earthworm Jim figure that I just picked up from Retro Reset. Look at the beautiful, beautiful card on this figure. Earthworm Jim looks so cool. They actually have a few more figures. They have another Earthworm Jim figure, they have a Psycho figure, and a vehicle that I may go back and pick up if it's not already gone. But these things are hard to come by, these Earthworm Jim figures, especially in this great of condition. I love it, and I can't wait to add it to the wall. I also got this at Retro Reset, though I guess technically it is a hidden gem pickup. I've got to thank Jason Schaefer for this awesome deal that he gave me on this Elvira figure. This I picked up for my wife. She loves Elvira just as much as I do. Look at the back here. I love that. Look at that. Very cool Elvira artwork. I also I dig this pop. It looks so cool. I love the colors. I love the Elvira 40 years logo at the top. A beautiful piece, and it's going to look really cool in our bedroom. And the last thing I'm going to show off this week, and it also came from Retro Reset Video Games and Collectibles. Clay gave me a really good deal on this one, so I went ahead and picked up Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. I got Jurassic Park 1 from my buddy Justin, so it's cool to add Rampage Edition to the collection as well. So now I've got 2 Sega Genesis Jurassic Park games, and I look forward to picking up the rest. Also, there's a couple for Super Nintendo that I will eventually pick up, but really cool to add to the ever-growing Sega Genesis collection. That's all for this week. Be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite item was that I showed off. Today on Scott Slasher World, I'm going to be showing off 5 random VHS tapes. First up this week is a slasher classic. It's Slaughterhouse on VHS.
Buddy, he's going hog wild at the
Slaughterhouse.
You're next, little pig.
This one right here is one that I actually wished I would have picked for my last video. I did a video that was called Top 5 1980s Slasher Films that deserve their own franchise. I forgot to pick Slaughterhouse. This is one of them that I definitely should have picked. Maybe I would have taken out one of the slasher movies that I picked for this one, because this one, it's always in like a top 5 underrated slashers. It's such a good slasher film. Buddy's a cool killer, very menacing. Just love this movie, love the cover of Slaughterhouse. Next up this week is Dario Argento's Terror at the Opera.
Terror at the Opera. The final note is a real killer.
Really dig this cover. This movie right here is got a great opening kill that really just sets the tone for the whole film. It's visually very pleasing. It's very artistic, but yet menacing, and I don't know, it's really beautiful to look at. They did a really great job on the special effects, and that's kind of, when you're watching this movie, you're really watching for the next big special effect. Really dig this movie and dig this cover. The next VHS I'm going to be showing off is a remake, and I think it's actually better than the original. It's 1988's The Blob.
The Blob. Terror has no shape.
Man, this movie is so awesome. I really do like the original Blob. I own the original The Blob, but something really special about this 80s flick. Stars Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith. Very cool movie. I love the special effects. Some of the best special effects that you're ever going to see. This is right before like CGI was even a thing. I think they used, maybe in 2 shots, they used very early digital effects. And it's barely anything. All this stuff is practical. What a cool movie. And if you've never seen the remake of The Blob, go check it out. Next up this week is Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage on VHS.
Whenever you want to stop hurting, you come to me.
Brain damage. It will turn you inside out.
Really cool 80s flick. I've always dug this one too. This one is about basically like a parasite. The parasite's name is Almer, and what he does is he makes you trip out like you're on acid. And when you're on acid, you go, and sometimes he makes you kill people. Well, actually, almost every time he makes you go kill somebody. He's a parasite that lives off human brains, and he ejects his host, so his host will go kill for him, and then he can suck on their brains. But he's also living off the host. What a cool movie. This is very visually pleasing as well, very artistic. If you're a fan of weird 80s films, check this one out. And the last horror VHS I want to show off this week is Howling 6, The Freaks.
You get this thing taken care of. Find out whoever or whatever is to blame. Kill it, arrest it. I don't care which.
You see the devil, you shoot him. Satan's work shall not go unpunished.
The series renters are howling for returns with its most spectacular addition ever. Howling 6, The Freaks.
Love this cover. Really fun movie, and one of my favorite Howling movies. It's up there with part 1 and 3 for me, and 2 now. I used to really not like 2, but it's grown on me. And 4 and 5 are okay, but this one I thought really did something unique. And the whole time, you think a werewolf's killing people, but it's a vampire, and the werewolf is the good guy this time. Very cool film, early 90s. I recommend this one. Check it out. That's all for this week. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to be showing off 3 Twin Peaks items since Twin Peaks Day was yesterday. And before I go, help me grow this channel by leaving me a comment, by liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell notification so you never miss a video. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. So the first item I'm going to show off is the Twin Peaks pilot on VHS. This is a really, really cool copy. This contains footage, not broadcast. And take a look at that really cool, moody cover. This is David Lynch at his finest. The next item I'm going to show off is Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me on DVD. And as a disclaimer, my wife owns all these Twin Peaks items and the shirt. I took this shirt from her. But man, look at that cover. That's really cool. If you've never seen Fire Walk With Me, you could actually start here first because it is a prequel, even though it actually came after the original series. And the last Twin Peaks item I'm going to show off this week is Twin Peaks The Return on Blu-ray. And this one is still in the shrink. I got this for my wife for Christmas, I do believe. It was either a Christmas or birthday present. Cover's okay. They could have did something a little cooler, but it definitely fits with the series. And I dig the series. I never finished this. I started watching it, I really liked it, and then of course it goes crazy. And somewhere in episode 10 or 11 or so, I've just got to pick this back up and start watching it again. That's why I did buy the Blu-ray set, so when we're ready, I can finish the story. That's all for this week. Be sure to join me next week because I plan on doing another one of my top 5 videos. Today on Scott Slasher World, I'm counting down the top 5 slasher movie sequels of the 1980s. And real quick, before I announce my number 5 pick, I do want to set a few parameters. First, I have to have a physical copy of the movie to make it into the top 5, so that will exclude a few movies that I was going to originally put in the top 5. Texas Chainsaw 2 was going to be one, and Sleepaway Camp 2 was going to be one. Somehow I've lost those VHS to time. I can't find them. So those 2 are out of the top 5. They would have been originally. The other is it has to be a slasher film. So I'm going to disqualify the Hellraiser and Phantasm series because to me it's a little bit more supernatural than it is slasher. So let's get started with number 5. It's Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Vicky's getting ready for the prom.
Good morning, prom queen.
Only nominated, not the winner.
But she's about to get a visit from the past.
I've been seeing things. Hallucinations about Mary Lou Maloney. That girl who died at our school.
The mind plays strange tricks.
It's not my mind, damn you, it's Mary Lou Maloney!
We're in trouble, you and I.
What are you talking about?
Mary Lou Maloney has come back.
It's like I'm not in control of myself. I am afraid I might hurt somebody.
Somehow her spirit has come back from the grave and she will come after you and me. This is the only thing that will protect you. Demon, be gone.
Be gone? Come on.
You're not leaving this house.
Now, Mary Lou has found her way back. And Mary Lou is coming out to party.
See you later.
Really cool horror movie sequel that really doesn't have anything to do with the original. Besides taking place at the same high school, it takes place at Hamilton High. It starts off with Mary Lou going up in flames because she's not a very good person, but someone tries to get revenge on her and it goes horribly wrong. 30 years later, what happens is she comes back to get her revenge. Very, very reminiscent of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It's a cool slasher movie that does have a lot of supernatural, but I do feel like it is a slasher film. Even the back of the DVD says it's like a Brian De Palma movie for slasher fans. Number 4 on the list is Psycho 2.
It's 22 years later. Norman Bates is coming home. And he's back in business. Psycho 2.
An amazing sequel to Psycho. It's been 22 years since Norman Bates has been out. He gets out on parole and he starts him a new job at a diner while running the Bates Motel. Of course, things are gonna go wrong. Somebody keeps messing with him, and you think, you know, he's starting to, he's already been rehabilitated. He's a really good guy now. You feel sympathetic for him, but all the stuff keeps adding up, and you're thinking, is it Norman that's killing, or is it somebody else that's killing? Is it all in Norman's head? It's a really cool slasher movie, and it really does do the original justice. And for my number 3 pick, this pick actually could be number 1, number 2, or number 3. All of my number 1 to number 3 is really switch on how I'm feeling, because all these movies are awesome. I mean, I love these sequels just as much, if some of them not more than the original. So with that said, number 3 is gonna be Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter.
He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason's unlucky day.
The final chapter is such a classic. I enjoy this one more than the original. This one stars Corey Feldman and Crispin Glover. You've gotta love Crispin Glover's crazy dance in this one. It's so insane, it makes no sense. I think when he originally did the dance, it was to different music, but still, even with that in mind, he's going crazy. Great directing by Joe Zito. I just love this film. It's probably my favorite Friday the 13th, though like I said, Friday the 13th changes. I mean, I love 3, 4, 5, and 6. I really love 7 too. 10 is a great, fun film. I'm a fan of the remake. So yeah, I've got to include Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, in this slasher movie horror list. Number 2 on the list is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
It's 1987. Do you know where Freddy is? There's no waking up from this nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors.
Man. This movie is so awesome. I love The Dream Warriors. It's my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film by far. I'd have to say 3, then 1, and then the others follow. Man, this one, you can just rewatch this one so many times. You got Nancy coming back from Part 1 to help the new kids in Part 3. They're all Dream Warriors with their own special powers, so they take on Freddy. So Freddy actually has a challenge this time. It's more serious than when Part 4 became, you know, almost flat out parody and comedy. This movie, if you've never seen The Dream Warriors, you've got to see it. It's also got the classic song from Dokken, "We're the Dream Warriors." And my #1 slasher movie sequel from the 1980s is Halloween 2.
From the people who brought you Halloween, more of the night he came home. Halloween 2. There is no place to hide. He will always find you. Halloween 2. More of the night he came home. Rated R.
Halloween 2 takes place right after the events of Halloween. I love the way it picks up just moments later. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance reprising their roles, and this time it takes place in a hospital. And I love the hospital setting. I think the hospital setting is one of the scariest settings because in the 80s and 90s, I was just for some reason terrified of hospitals as a kid. Another reason why this makes my #1 pick is this really scared me as a kid. I've talked about it before, but the syringe scene where Michael puts the syringe in the girl's temple, it's right after she finds a doctor with a syringe sticking in his eye. It just scared me as a kid so bad. I love this movie. It's got a lot of rewatchability. It's got some of the coolest kills, some of the goriest kills, and Michael is so angry in this one. I love everything about this movie. Like I said, this could, you know, it could be #2 or #3 in the list with A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or Friday the 13th Part 4. But for me, at least today, I'm putting Halloween 2 as #1 on the best slasher movie sequel from the 1980s. That's gonna do it for my top 5 1980s slasher movie sequels. Let me know in the comment what your favorite slasher movie sequel is from the 1980s. Now it's gotta be from the 80s, it's gotta be a sequel, and it's gotta be a slasher movie. I feel like a lot of people would have picked like Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or Friday 3 or Friday 5. Halloween 4 would have been a good pick. I did want to keep it simple and only pick one movie from each franchise. So that's kind of another reason my picks went the way they did. And I have to have it physically. Like I said, Sleepaway Camp 2 and Texas Chainsaw 2 would have actually trumped the Prom Night 2. But I didn't have them or I couldn't find them. So that's kind of how the list laid itself out this morning. And before we go, do me a favor by liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell notification so you never miss a video. All right, thanks for sticking around. So I figured that I would show off a few of my latest pickups. First up is this awesome cart. This is the Ooze, and this is a Sega Genesis cart that I got from Welcome Back Collectibles. Man, this is a fun game. I love this. I love the way it starts too. It's so cool. If you've never played the Ooze, definitely check it out. See, next up, I got a bunch of games from the Gaming Company in Charleston, West Virginia. First up, I got Pugsy. I'm digging this game so far. It's like real tiny levels, like they're like puzzle-based levels that are real short. Another game I picked up for real cheap at the Gaming Company is California Games. I just love the cover on this cart. I love the label, I should say, on the cart. I played a little bit of it, and I don't know if it's going to be really a game for me, but I do dig the cover. I also picked up Disney's Tailspin from the Gaming Company. This one so far has been pretty fun. I think I'm only on level 1 though. I haven't made it. I just kind of played just a few minutes of this one. But fun. And another awesome game, and I did pay a little bit for this one because I had this one as a kid. I absolutely love Rocket Knight Adventures. It's one of the best games on the Sega Genesis. It's worth $35 for just the cart, which is crazy. In box, it can go close to about $75, $80 now. Fun game. I mean, Konami. It's not really a Sonic ripoff, but it is definitely a platformer inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog. It's so good. And the last couple things, I picked these up at Spookables, and I got these for my wife. And it is Supernatural seasons 1 through 4. Look at that. So now, if for some reason Supernatural decides to not stream, we've got the first 4 seasons to watch over and over again. I hope everybody enjoyed my top 5 list and my items. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite item was I showed off as well. And let me know if I got my top 5 right or if I am completely wrong. Let me know in the comments.